Welcome back to the After Show. I am joined by T from the lot at Climate Pledge out in Seattle. How are we doing today?
How are you doing?
Dude, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I think Llama is asleep, so apparently I'm going to roll with this myself today. If you're first time to the channel, make sure you like and subscribe and leave a comment, or if you're in here now, get in the chat. What was your I'll give you my overall impression for a minute. Why don't you sit down?
Everything fell apart at number one. That's all I'm gonna say. Is I can't believe he fucking Numberline Piper. I was so excited. Like as soon as Trey barely even hit the note, and I was like, Piper, it's Piper. I'm like, Piper. And then it was like a 5-minute Piper maybe, and then he fucking. I knew he was gonna numberline it, but I didn't know he was gonna numberline it for numberline. And then they and then that was the last song. And then the encore, great, Sleeping Monkey and My Friend, fantastic. But did we really need them both? Because they had to cram them into that 20-minute like slot. So like, why not just give me a 20-minute My Friend? Like we didn't need the Sleeping Monkey in front of it. I don't know. I was. It's just sour. Everything was awesome until that point, so I'm not gonna let that ruin like an awesome 2 nights this week. But damn it.
Where was the Hendrix song?
Right? I know. I really thought we'd go
Fire Isabella?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know, okay, Kev, this is interesting. I'm going to say this before we get started. My buddy was here at the show 2 years ago, and they played 11 of the same songs that they played 2 years ago in this run. 11.
Right,
like,
Walls of the Cave, I know.
Ghost, Piper, yeah, we went through the whole list. 11 of them. That's crazy. So it's like weird that they have like, I don't know, a type. You know, like Bug was one of them. Like an odd song like Bug. You're like, really? Like that's just Seattle song? I don't know.
Anyway. All right, let's run through a little bit of this as long as I can keep you on.
Yeah.
Free is a fantastic opener. I mean, right? We love some Free.
It is. It was fun. It was a good way to start the show.
And it's the age of the micro jam. Perfect. Yep. You know, get your feet wet.
Yep.
And then they go off the deep end.
Yes. Which excited me, which made it seem like last night, like a 20-minute jammy gen. You're like, oh, we're picking up where last night left off. Fantastic. We don't have to worry about like a night 2 drop-off or letdown. And that gen, it wasn't the greatest gen, but it got some, I mean, it explored some cool places and was a really fun, like, 20-minute song in the second slot. So, yeah. Really excited. Loved
it. And I felt like, you know, they weren't just going through the motions either. There was a lot of interesting spaces they got to. I feel like it had several movements, but it never dragged at all. Real good job there, guys.
I agree. Yes, I agree.
That was a good one, huh? Are you evolving?
And then Evolve. You know, I like Evolve, so I was excited as soon as it started. I thought of like you and Tim, and I was like, oh, there'll definitely be some non-evolvers in this group. But it was fun. 8 minutes. A little bit. I don't know. I feel like there's a potential for that song to jam at some point, and I would love it if they just did it. I know it is what it is, and it's like that 6 to 8 minute song, but damn, it would be sweet if they could give you like 12 minutes one at some point. I didn't take that, so you know, but it does what it does, and it did what it did in that slot. So
there's your answer. Very good. Stash was solid. I like Stash.
Stash was solid. You know, yeah, I like this.
Not groundbreaking, but
right. And this run, it kind of felt that way, right? Like this Stash and Pebbles and Marbles, you were kind of like, ooh, fun songs, but neither one of them explored some of the areas that sometimes they do, you know? And so you were just kind of left with sort of the basics of the song, and they just sort of like filled their gap and did what they did. It almost felt like after the gen, this felt like a night 1 set. Right? Like, it felt like this should have been last night, kind of cautious, kind of slow, kind of, you know, in and out of these 8-7 minute songs that didn't really explore a lot. So, I don't know. It was interesting that last night was such a heavy, jammy show all through the first set. And tonight was a lot more pulled back and reserved.
Well, when you throw pebbles and marbles in, nice. When you throw the pebbles and marbles in, you're getting Hold on, I'm going to mute you while I talk for a second.
Yeah.
when you get the Pebbles and Marbles, you have to change guitars. I saw that at Camden in 19, and I guess that's normal, a normal occurrence. But by having to switch guitars out, as we've talked about with other bands before, it kind of breaks up the flow. You know, Lou Faber's a master of changing guitars mid-song while the rest of the band's still playing, but most people don't do that. You stop, you do a new song, you know. So, and I felt like with 9 minutes, um it didn't have the chance to bloom.
Yes. Yes. Totally.
You know. So anyway, there we go. Then you get a Farmhouse.
Fun.
I'm a Farmhouse guy.
Yeah.
I have no problem.
Of course. Me too. It's great. I love it. It fit in this set where it was too. Again, just sort of not really doing much. What it did was it was nice to get it to set up the Suzy because I was like, oh, finally, like you're gonna get something out of that. But a 5 minute Suzy, even that, there was no jams tonight. Like it just even that was so in its structure and so like, you know what I mean? Like it had its moments and its white light moments and like it rocked. It was a rocker, but it wasn't like a jam. So I don't know. Yeah.
All right. And then I thought Suzy was going to close the set, honestly.
It was too early. The timing wasn't right. By the way, Kev, they played so much the time. It was like on at 8, off at 9:30, on at 10, off at 11:10, on for Encore, out of 11:30. Like it was very Dead and Company set the structure of the timing. So I knew there'd be another song. I texted you, and I was like, I wish this was an analog. Like I was hoping to get a Suzy analog to close that set, and instead we got the walls. But again, Jam did its thing, but even in 11 minutes, it's not like some of the walls that you get were really taking off and going exploring places where you would have thought after last night tonight it could have done and would have done. So standard walls, I thought.
Right, yeah, and a weird thing, a couple weird things about this to me. We got two 2.0 songs in the set, which you normally don't get two 2.0 songs. And the other thing is, you said before we came on that your buddy said there were 11 repeats from 23 with what they did in Seattle. And Walls of the Cave is one of them, which isn't a song that you get more than once or twice a tour. So,
right, exactly. And yeah. So
that's where that is.
That's where that is. Decent enough first set, but again, after last night's first set, I don't know. You could have swapped these two and called tonight night one and last night night two, and I would have been like, yeah, that makes sense. And tonight I felt like it was a little off that as good as last night's set was with the jams and how. I mean, it's also personal preference. I'm sure there's some people that love tonight's set the way it was and the way it was structured, but I'm more of a fan of the way last night was. And so to me, last night was definitely the stronger first set.
Right. I tell you what, the second sets I'd say are a wash over the two shows, but the first set last night, I mean, that I think last night was the better of the two shows.
Agreed.
So, if you're watching for the first time, like, subscribe. You can become a member. It's $2.99 a month. We do member hangs and set breaks. We do other stuff for the members. Make sure you leave a comment if you're watching this later, and find us on our socials. We're at All That Jam. We're all over the place. We'll be 15 minutes after the encore for the rest of the run next Wednesday, 9 o'clock. We will be 9 o'clock Eastern. Before the show, we'll be doing a lot. So check it out. Let's get into set two before I lose T. Wow. That first 25 minutes of this set, I mean, just brilliant, really brilliant, inspired playing after what I felt like was a shaky start with the Chalkdust. It seemed a little slow. Trey's voice seemed a little off.
Yeah. I agree, but the jam definitely explored and got out there and was like a great Chalkdust. And that we talked everything that they re-entered. We should have said this with the stash too earlier. The re-entry into that stash and landing was spectacular. They really worked on like their re-entries and landings in a lot of these songs throughout this weekend. I thought was spectacular. It was definitely a high point. And this Chalkdust into that light, I thought was a beautiful transition, like really nicely done into it. And then of course coming back into the Chalkdust out of that light jam was awesome. Like that was fun. That's where you're like, yes, now we're in it. Like let's go. Like this set's gonna fucking shred. Let's do this. And to your point,
Right.
yeah, I thought when the Chalkdust started, Trey definitely vocals were it was a little weird, but once they got going into it and that jam kicked off, it was awesome and that light was fantastic. And then yeah, you can go ahead. What do you think?
Yeah, fantastic. I tell you what, we had talked before tour started, before Seattle, about Trey playing a whole month of shows on acoustic guitar, and if that would affect anything. And I think this is an example of where it did. Lots of hold on, let me pause.
Yeah,
Let me mute you again. Lots of strumming, lots of rhythm work. He was hitting some power chords. I mean, really, really nice stuff. And I think that comes from a month of playing acoustic guitar where he was strumming more. He was carrying the whole thing himself instead of just soloing over top of everything.
I like
really good
theory.
stuff in there.
I like that, Kev. That's great. That's great. That's very true. Mm-hmm.
I've been workshopping it all night.
I like it. I'm going to throw in a fun fact here too, real quick. That this arena is the coldest arena I've ever been in my life. Like it felt like an outdoor show in the fall. It was so cold both nights. Like tonight, I never even took my tearaway sweats off with my shorts on it. Never took them off. And wore my sweatshirt all night. I was freezing, and it's freezing and wet and damp outside right now. But if you ever come here for any show, dress warm. Anyway.
The climate pledge is to keep it cold, huh?
Yes, exactly. And right outside, there's this nice sign here on the side, this is Climate Pledge Arena, and then right in front of it, there's tons of balloons. I'm like, guys, like, it takes me so nuts. Anyway, pick up your fucking balloons. Fuego.
What? You're jumping off. You aren't even going to touch on the light. I felt like the light might have been the highlight of the whole set.
I agree. Yes, I agree. It was. It definitely was. It was a
and then the landing of it back into the Chalkdust, you know?
Perfect. Right. Both ways. That's what I was saying. Both the exit out of Chalkdust into is fantastic, and then that re-entry into Chalkdust is so much fun. Like perfect. Yeah, great.
I bet the place jumped.
It did. Oh, yeah. There was a couple moments tonight that were really fun with the crowd. That was very loud. That is a nice thing about in there. It's a loud arena, so the crowd gets it. It gives you that energy. It's very cool.
Right. Fuego, I feel like is becoming a little dry, a little predictable.
Yeah, a little bit. We got the Viking Warriors and the Gold against the Levitate, which is nice. It just has that. It's almost like Character Zero, right? Where it just kind of like has that rock, that straightforward kind of rock. You know, it doesn't. You get it sometimes where it explores out, but to your point, Kev, I feel like it's become sort of 10 to 12 minutes and lives in that zone.
Right. What happened to About to Run, Funky Chris? And we need to talk about that sometime. I like Fuego though because it gets dissonant. It's all my favorite stuff about PHiSH and the jam at the end. So you kind of just roll with that.
It's so fun. Like, and again, it's a crowd pleaser and it rocks. And throughout that was one of those that I couldn't do the floor tonight. I had to sit in seats tonight because my legs were killing me. So that was one that got me up out of the seats and be like, oh, it's sweet. And then Monsters, great song. I'm really impressed with the 2 nights of slower songs that we got. Like, If I Could last night, I love that song, so that was awesome. And then Monsters tonight, I'm a big fan of that one, so appreciated it.
Yeah, I love Monsters. I really love Monsters.
It's good. It's great.
Good stuff.
And then,
all right, so Piper, the Piper broke your heart. I know the Piper broke your heart.
I was so excited, and you knew I'd be excited because it's what I wanted to hear, and it was going places, and it had potential, and then all of a sudden it just sort of like started dying out, and I was like, oh no, don't do it, and then he did it, and he fully did it, and it killed me because that number line jam was great, but imagine that jam as the Piper jam, like we got robbed, we were robbed. Sorry.
Hey, I hear you. I'm not going to badmouth Numberline because I like Numberline, but it did seem like the very end of this set, they kind of crapped out. That this probably is my big why I'd say last night was better was just the Piper number line.
I fully agree. It was like fumbling in the fourth quarter. Like you played such a great you had it. Like you had it in the bag. You were going to close this out and like have a spectacular 2-night run and be like, woohoo, champs. And then like right at the end of the game, right, you fumble it. You're like, oh. That's, I mean, again, personal opinion. It is what it is. That number line did rip, and it's fun, and it gets everybody in the arena going. But I don't know. I wanted that Piper to do it, and then yeah. So anyway.
Andrew, I have no idea if police care about nitrous tanks. In Philly, they do, because they were sitting right next to the guys killing them.
Yeah, they don't really seem to care.
Encore, and then Encore, and I'll let you get out of here and go party with your friends before you got to get that flight in the morning. Please, you were not happy with the Encore. I thought we would get a hood. I thought we'd get a You Enjoy Myself, something that was 18 minutes to fill the whole time.
Exactly. With 20 minutes to go, you're like, okay, well, don't give me like 2 10-minute songs or like screw us out of that. Like, yes, to your point, give me something that's 18 minutes and fills this void. Again, would have been perfect. And yeah, Sleeping Monkey, fun, great. Again, crowd pleaser, everyone's yay. But you're like, yes, they're just like masking it. Like you're missing the point that we could have gotten better. I don't know. It just fun, but not what I was hoping we'd get in that slot. And then you followed it up with My Friend, which again, awesome. I love that song. But 9 minutes, like we've gotten so used to the song shredding these days and like going places and doing something like heavy and like being something. And so it was like very standard at 9 minutes as what you're leaving with. So make that the 20, make that 18 minutes. Like give me an 18-minute jammed out like we've gotten before, like last year and shit. Like do that. I would have been happy with that, but yeah. So anyway, I did.
Thomas, my friend has been. Oh, nice.
I did see Ashley tonight. So groove safe, everybody.
Nice, Thomas. My friend has been doing the weird jam thing, but my friends for the past 2 years have been 17 minutes, something like that. So this one was a little shorter. Here's my theory with this, T, that goes to you talking about the times being so on. They knew they could do My Friend and play it as long as they needed to end exactly on time.
Great point, Kev. Exactly. That's one of those songs where you know you can like win to it, like, right? You're like, okay, we can hit this 6 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, like wherever we needed to kind of extend out to. And that's exactly what it felt like. It felt so to time tonight that you weren't getting those. Even last night, though, those jams fit in the time frame that they had it set up. Tonight just felt so much more set to time. And again, you could flop these 2 nights, and I'd be like, yes, that makes so much sense. Like, you know. So anyway, great run though. Totally fun. Seattle's a great city. A lot of fun. Like the arena was cool. Crowds been great. Ran into a ton of people, which has been awesome. Fun 2 shows, and now. Yeah, I get to catch a 6 a.m. flight, and I'll be home tomorrow, and we'll do the after show tomorrow night from Portland.
Right, maybe I'll get you on the member hang, and we could get a little bit into you sitting in a quiet place, and we can go over a little bit about Seattle with the people.
Yes,
you want to become a member, you get on your browser, and it's down there somewhere. And T, thank you for giving me 20 minutes after the show.
You're welcome, Kev. Always a pleasure. I'll talk to you.
All right, I will see you tomorrow. Everybody out there watching, make sure you like, subscribe, find us on social media. We love to hear from you. Leave a comment, and we'll talk to you soon.